Hello, everybody. Welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door. And frankly, we all need a bit of a distraction today. Very nervous about England tonight. So it is Transfer Update episode number 5, the series where we look at every transfer coming into the Championship this window. We'll look at some of them going out, but not too many. We're more interested in the players coming in as ever. I'm looking at done deals. I need to see a club website announcement, a player holding the shirt, and a boring interview saying, I can't wait to get going. I'm raring to go, and all of that good stuff. And let's just put this at the top of the video. It is 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Check the time that your transfer went through on your club website. If it hasn't happened yet, I won't be reporting it. And no matter how many times I say when the video's in, someone will always ask about a transfer that hadn't happened at the point of talking about it. We got 13 to talk about. I haven't done one of these videos since the back end of last week. And it did get very, very busy at the back end of last week. Of course, we reached July the 1st. The managerial merry-go-round seemed to stop spinning now. And I think we're all set with everybody in situ now. The Marco Silva at Fulham is done, and Scott Parker and Valérien Ismaël as well at Bournemouth and West Brom. It has gone a bit quiet in the few days since. We are still waiting for the end of the Euros, the big cascade, the money coming in wherever, high up, and seeing how that then knocks on down the chain into the Championship. Here's our first deal to talk about, and this is one that we just knew was going to happen, didn't we? Alex Mowatt to West Brom. Mowatt, 26, on a free transfer from Barnsley, and it's been a saga for 18 months now, hasn't it? Mowatt going into the last year of his contract. It kind of got parked at various points last season, but as soon as you go past January and that deal is not signed, then, you know, it kind of feels like the player's going to go ahead and cash in on his free agent status. Of course, Barnsley pushed and pushed up the table and finished in 5th. Mowatt, the captain, central midfielder, left footer, English, good set play taker, good on the ball, good passer, was always going to be viable for a top-end Championship team or even higher. And then, of course, with the links with Valérien Ismaël probably leaving, it kind of made sense that he was probably going to try and take him with him. And that is exactly what he's done. Ismaël and Mowatt now both at West Brom. West Brom, are a year one parachute team, so they will be expecting to be promoted, as these relegated Premier League teams kind of reasonably do, if they can do things in a competent manner. What does Mowatt bring to West Brom? Well, the key thing is he knows how to work with Valérien Ismaël, so there's going to be a bit of a sea change. They're going from Big Sam to Ismaël. So, look, Big Sam plays in a bespoke and niche way. Ismaël plays in a bespoke and niche way. So it's not like the players aren't used to specific ideas there. But it's good to have your own lieutenant, or one of, indeed. I know his staff have gone with him from Barnsley as well. And Mowatt will go in there, and I suspect will be a regular starter. Obviously, West Brom finished the season last year really with a bunch of loanees in central midfielder. They had Yokuslu sat with Conor Gallagher and Ainsley Maitland-Niles. None of those players will be there. When they got promoted, it was Jake Livermore, Romain Sawyers, wasn't it? So maybe that area did need a pep up, and maybe we will see the likes of Livermore. Not so sure about Sawyers, given the speed that Ismaël likes his teams to play the game. But a no-brainer here. Look, Bosman's free transfers are what they are, aren't they? You can say it's bad luck for Barnsley. You can say Barnsley should have got him on a deal or sold him sooner. You can say the player deserves a pay rise and all of that good stuff. It's a shame when clubs miss out on a transfer fee, but hey, it is what it is. And I'm sure Mowat will play, well, let's be honest, if he's fit for the season, he'll be playing 35 to 46 games, won't he, for West Brom in that crazy Ismail style. So a disappointing one for Barnsley that they knew was coming, frankly, didn't they? And good luck to Mowat. Go get paid and go make the Premier League, because that's the expectation at a year one parachute club. Mowat to West Brom. Thoughts in the comments, please. Emiliano Marcondes has gone from Brentford, on a free to Bournemouth. And I did speak about this, so you can just see his leg there. I did speak about this on the Bournemouth Back of the Net channel. So there's a detailed video of me talking about this over there if you're a Bournemouth fan or a Brentford fan. Obviously, I'll talk about it a bit now, but I'll say some of the same things. Marcondes, what do they call them in American sport? A clutch player, don't they? When the going gets tough and the game gets big, Brentford did used to turn to Marcondes. Was he a 40-game-a-season midfield rotator in that three? No. But for 2 seasons running, when they got into the dregs of the season, the tail end, and particularly those playoff games, they often turned to him. He loved a big game, didn't he? So that's something for Bournemouth fans to perhaps hang their hat on. And in what I call Richard Wright syndrome, where I once sat in Highbury watching Ipswich play, and Richard Wright played an absolute blinder, and Arsene Wenger signed him at the end of the season. Marcondes did play very well against Parker's Fulham, if you remember, at the back end of that season. And then, of course, they met in the playoff final. So Parker knows all about the player. From a Brentford point of view, very good player. But in terms of that whole season, he was down the order, I think number 5, virtually, when you consider Norgard, Jensen, De Silva, and then Janel moved in ahead. And it just seemed that Thomas Frank preferred that type of... And how can I word this? He's a bit of a fancy player, Marcondes, isn't he? And I think he preferred the more steady, stable to get Brentford up. And frankly, it worked, didn't it? And Marcondes moving out on a free transfer. As I said on the Bournemouth channel that I was on talking about this, stick him in the right situation with the right players, Pearson, Lerma, etc., to thrive. We saw how well Billing did with those 2 guys sort of as a cushion behind. Perhaps Billing, Lerma, certain players will not be there at the start of the season at Bournemouth. We know that will happen. They're not in a position to hold on to all of the big assets. But look, Marcondes, he's a player that's been in the playoff final 2 years running. He's just been promoted out of the league. He's 26. It's a free transfer. You would be worried if that was the marquee signing for Bournemouth this summer. But I suspect we may see a big fee going out and someone surpassing Marcondes. And it's the first signing for Parker. So good luck to him, Marcondes, that is. He knows the league, and Bournemouth again will be expecting to be in the playoffs. He really knows the playoffs as well, and Bournemouth know that he knows the playoffs as well. So let me know your thoughts on that one. Emi Marcondes in to Bournemouth. And this is a really interesting one. Swansea City, complete deal for PSV striker Joel Pirot, 21 years old, an under-20 international. Joined PSV in 2014, so he's obviously been on the scene for a long time. He went to Sparta Rotterdam. 11 goals in 29 appearances for young PSV. 12 appearances for the PSV first team, scoring in the Europa League. So, as soon as we know it's Steve Cooper and Swansea, we assume that Steve Cooper, and I'm guessing, but I may well be right, that if this guy's been in the under 17, 19, 20 system, Steve Cooper will know about these players, and they've exploited that knowledge very, very well, Swansea, in terms of getting Gray and Latabodiere and Gibbs White, people Cooper had even worked with. I suspect this will be one that Cooper knew about in the system. I don't know about him. 21 years old, PSV. Transfer Marked, who are sometimes reliable and sometimes not, are reporting 1.8 million, excuse me, is the transfer fee. And in championship terms now, not even post-COVID, that's a big fee, isn't it? Even pre-COVID, that feels like a big fee in FFP parachute distortion doesn't it? So we've said for the longest time Swansea need a striker, and they appear to have dropped a nice enough fee on one here, don't they? Basically, since Brewster was there on loan, and you can go back to McBurney before that, they've had to trust Andre Ayew, who, despite whatever the Twitter troll that wanted to be very pedantic and debate me about this, Andre Ayew's not a forward. He was put in a striking position. In the same way, if I go and work in a bakery for a day now, I'm not a baker. I'll hopefully go back to talking about football and playing music after that. But Ayew had to cover that position. So did Jamal Lowe, a winger, playing up front. But they seem to have got a dedicated striker now. We'll see what strategy Cooper wants to do next season. Often it was a front two. Sometimes you can do a front three with wide forwards, and maybe Pirro will be at the centre of it. The only worry I would have if I was a Swansea fan is that money has been spent, and at Swansea in the past couple of the years, the only way that money got spent was when money came in over the counter for another player being sold. And I don't know who the high value assets are there now. Connor Roberts, the wing back, perhaps. Ben Cabango, Matt Grimes. There are, saleable assets there at Swansea, but it's a difficult season for them, this one now coming up, isn't it? The parachute payments are done, and Cooper has pulled rabbits out of hats in terms of Rodden being sold and McBurney being sold and James being sold, and not really a lot coming in the other way. But this looks like an exciting one. Without sounding like a big moaner, maybe it's a year too late, isn't it? And perhaps had Swansea had a viable championship striker, we don't know how Pirro will do. We've seen more expensive players bust in the championship than he. So, but if it is a good deal and a good player, then they really could have done with him last season as well, because that did seem to be a position where there was a reliance on a few players who weren't necessarily in their proper spot there. So anyway, Pirro, 21 years old, and we think 1.8 million. Again, if you think you know the transfer fee and you've seen the deal memorandum and how it's all structured, then feel free to comment. But Crimea River will use the transfer marked numbers as a guide. Don't get too emotional about them in the absence of, let's be honest, nobody knows, do they, these days? Right, get your thoughts in on Pirro to Swansea. Here's a couple into Millwall, and there's a familiar face, George Saville. This is undisclosed, 28 years old Saville, central midfielder, and, depending on the number here, we think Saville went for about 5 or 6 million a couple of seasons ago. Neil Harris got Millwall promoted. They were playing this rock and roll 4-4-2, weren't they? And Saville was very much part of it in the central midfield there, behind Morrison and Gregory up top, with genuine proper Alex Ferguson 4-4-2 with wingers and all that good stuff. And Saville contributed a lot from central midfield and then went off to go and play for Millwall. Obviously, he's been there, sort of 17, 18, was it? 18, 19, 19, 20. He's been there 3 seasons, and he's back here undisclosed. I don't know what length contract he signed, but let's be honest, and again, I don't know the exact number, but I would be prepared to bet most of my worldly possessions that Millwall have not paid what they received for him 3 years ago for sure, because that would be about 4 times their transfer record, wouldn't it? But Saville will return. Look, 28, still a good age. Knows the division now, doesn't he? Up and down. One of those players who you can just rely, knows exactly what's coming. Obviously, Gary Rowett had sort of Ryan Woods in the central midfield last year on loan, and he's now gone off to go and play for Birmingham. So, bit of a hole there. I think they've talked about George Evans going in there, but looks a really sensible pickup for Millwall, who have pushed the boat out a little bit. You wonder whether there's a big sale coming here. Certainly some Millwall friends of mine, when they see 3-4 players coming in and Jed Wallace linked going out every summer, maybe there is a sale coming, but we will see. Saville to Millwall, depending on the fee, seems a no-brainer. Knows the league, knows the surroundings, and will no doubt work well with Gary Rowett. And some money in for Boro, and we know Warnock will enjoy working the transfer market and pepping his squad. We'll talk about Boro in a second as well. Now, here's a very interesting one, because Millwall have taken Benik Afobe on loan from Stoke City. Benik Afobe still only 28. Look at that. Arsenal youth product, Bournemouth, Wolves, Stoke, Bristol City. And there's still there's a bit of the unknown about Afobe. Obviously did well at Bournemouth, and then Wolves. He was there, wasn't he, when all the money had come in from Faux Sun, and feels like one of those sort of white elephant players now who we think is a good championship goal scorer, but actually hasn't done it for a couple of seasons now. Went off to Bristol City when Lee Johnson was there on loan and got injured for the whole season, and I think he was down as their goal scorer. And that's a very interesting one, that, because they would have created him chances, that particular team. Millwall under Rowett will be a little bit different. Obviously, Rowett had him at Stoke. He must have, mustn't he? Might have even signed him at Stoke. So forgive me if I'm wrong about that. I assume he did. In that big first summer when Stoke came down and Rowett jumped from Derby to Stoke. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. But yet nothing worked out at Stoke really for pretty much most of the last 3 years. Only about 8 months under Michael O'Neill where they did well and dropped off a bit again last year. So enough about that. Millwall have needed a striker now. It's funny, we're talking about 17-18 and Saville playing behind Morrison and Gregory. Feels like they haven't really fixed up their striking options since then, haven't they? And he tried last season, and Zahor I thought was going to work and came on loan, and that didn't work. Obviously, Warnock at Cardiff created him more chances than Rowett was. Parrott on loan, no good. And then Bradshaw, obviously they spent good money on. Bodvarsson's been there for a while. Smith, it's always I seem to hear one thing and then the complete opposite from Millwall fans about Smith. So they have tried and they've tried and they've tried, and now they're going with Afobe. I will say again what I said about a Lee Johnson Bristol City team as opposed to a Gary Rowett Milton. They've got to make him some chances, haven't they? Because we saw a quite pragmatic approach for the past couple of seasons from Rowett, and Jed Wallace and Mason Bennett ending up front, and often a bit of a reliance on Jed Wallace to outscore his XG and score a few from some set plays and bang in a few long ranges as well. So you can put Ian Rush, whoever, Alan Shearer in a team. You don't create them any chances, they will not score many goals. So let's hope there's a bit more forward momentum, else we may start to realise it's not the strikers that are coming in to Millwall that's the issue in terms of them getting goals. It may be more systemic than that, but we will find out. And look, if everything clicks together here, and Wallace is still at the club, and Saville is added, and Malone has been added, and the experience is totting up, and they can just take the handbrake off a little bit. I'm not saying change style. You don't need to go all out attack, but it does feel like a little bit of a tweak, and could be onto something decent, Millwall. And we're always looking for them to bridge that gap between. And let's be honest, looking at their transfer record and monies and everything else. Let's be perfectly fair. A parachute team this season will probably spend on an agent fee. They'll break Millwall's transfer record, so they're punching their weight to be up there anyhow. But we always look for how can they bridge the gap, and Millwall in the playoffs. That seems to be the next natural step. Can Afobe help them? Let me know what you think in the comments. Here's a big striker, Ikpeazu. And Ikpeazu, of course, has gone to work with Neil Warnock at Middlesbrough. So, I remember saying this towards the end of last season. Of course, Wycombe went on a big spurt towards the end of the season, didn't they? And we're sort of like, oh, will they keep Mehmeti Ikpeazu? Because big striker had come in from Scotland. Does it say on there? Is it Hearts he was at? I don't quite remember where they got him from. And caused trouble in Wycombe's side there. Look, Wycombe under Ainsworth, nice and direct. The remember obviously getting promoted with Jacobson on the set plays and the throw-ins, and Big Akin Fenwa doing the business when they got him on the pitch up top. But Ikpeazu looked a very viable Championship player. Scored a couple of really good goals as well, like paired up with Musquet as well, who came on loan from Leicester. I remember a couple of goals where you know, come on, let's be honest, you see a massive hulking striker sometimes and you assume they're there for one reason. But I remember one particular one where he comes in and curls it with the left foot, Ikpeazu. So there's definitely a player there. Transfermarkt are reporting £783,000. So call it £750,000. Again, if you think you know different, then yeah, great. Everyone argues with transfer fees. You don't know, do you? I don't know. So we'll just go with what Transfermarkt are reporting. But look, given Neil Warnock was totally publicly burying his strikers, wasn't he, with Assombalonga and Fletcher, and given that those two arrived for, I think, a combined 22 million across their two transfer fees, I suspect Warnock will get value for Ikpeazu. He'll, what does Warnock always say? You want to see chances? Do you want to see goals? Do you want to see shots? Look, we know the ball will be in the box, aimed towards Ikpeazu in different methods next season. He'll get chances. He'll score goals if he stays fit. You just know that with Warnock. And could the £750,000 signing outscore the £22 million worth of Fletcher and Assombalonga? I don't know. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people who comment and say, well, yeah, I think he will. So it seems a very good link-up for Warnock. Speaking of Warnock link-ups, here comes Lee Peltier, who Warnock he might have even had him at two clubs before. Definitely had him at Cardiff, as it says there. Where was he? He went to West Brom, didn't he? Did he have him at Cupid? Oh, I don't know if I'm pulling clubs out of the hat now. Getting it wrong. Anyway, Peltier is known to Warnock. 34 years old, fullback, can play either side. It's classic Warnock, isn't it? Brings in faces that he knows that will become part of his gang. Will he start all the games? No, I wouldn't have thought so. But they mention Darnell Fisher and Cover. And yeah, there's Warnock. He's fantastic in the dressing room. We haven't got many senior pros in there, so it makes all the sense in the world. Peltier in as sort of experienced cover. Let me know what you think on both those signings into Boro, Ikpeazu and Peltier. Obviously, Amiobi and Lumley have come in as well, so plenty of Championship experience, and there is no one with more Championship experience than Warnock. That person doesn't exist, does he? He's been doing it for decades, so we'll see how that all plays out. Here is Mario Vrancic. This is a interesting one. Going to Michael O'Neill's Stoke City. So Vrancic is 32 on a free transfer from Norwich City. The contract expiring, and this is this could be the worst fit possible, or it could be a player that gives Stoke something that they don't necessarily already have. Vrancic, a very silky, skillful player. Can I use the term luxury player? Takes a beautiful free kick, lovely left foot, constantly tries little through balls and pokes through. But he has played in a team in Norwich for the last 2 times he's been in the Championship that have literally just attacked every game. He's been in a team that's had loads of possession and lots of players who are probably too good for the Championship around him. And certainly not so much in their first promotion, Norwich, but certainly in the second one, he was very much Hail Mary. He's going to come off the bench with 25 to go if Norwich were not winning, which wasn't very often, was it, last season, given they nearly scored 100 points, for goodness sakes. So what I'm saying is this guy is a very good player, very skillful, but he's going to Stoke and Michael O'Neill, who have been quite pragmatic in their approach and sat in and maybe not made anywhere near as many chances as Vrancic is used to or got players up the pitch. It's going to be an interesting one, this. He'll either be being put in there to remedy that. I just can't see Michael O'Neill playing a number 10 and Vrancic starting lots of games and kind of moseying about like Riquelme or something off the front there. But maybe off the bench, set play guy. I don't know. As I said, it's either the most unlikely fit possible or someone who's going to solve a problem. We'll see how it pans out and how many games he's starting and how many minutes he's playing. Quality, definitely there. I don't doubt that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this one fits. Vrancic into Stoke on a free transfer, aged 32. Let me know what you think. This one could go either way for me. Look, it'd be a lot of fun if it goes the positive way, doesn't it? And he's getting lots of assists and taking lots of set plays. Moving on to Bristol City, who've brought 2 in since we last did one. Here's a nice one. Look, Rob Atkinson, undisclosed from Oxford, ever present for Oxford, who got to the League One playoff semi-finals, in the PFA League One Team of the Year and the Sky Bet League One Team of the Season. And as you can see there, helped his side to the playoff semi-final, and they just collapsed in the first leg, didn't they, against Blackpool. Risen through the divisions. This is good. It's a good story, this. We like this trajectory. And Oxford has been a very good shopping centre, shopping mall, whatever you want to say, for Championship clubs. We saw Baptiste and Fosu go to Brentford, having worked with Cole Robinson in League One and come through. We saw Rob Dickey, who, let's be honest, is now worth loads more, having played a season under Warburton at QPR. And now Rob Atkinson, still 22. And look, we're in the realms of guessing. I suspect that's quite a high fee, even though it's undisclosed. Again, we'll never know. And, you know, put as many fees as you like in the comments, but unless you show me the deal memorandum on a piece of Bristol City headed paper or Oxford, we won't know. But given, as I said, the quality of players that have come out for Oxford and perhaps what was paid for Dickey, there's a very clear, which we think was over £2 million, there's a very clear kind of market value perhaps. And if I'm Oxford, I'm saying, well, look at Dickey at QPR. You need to pay us for this guy. So yeah, looks like an interesting one. Bristol City, very awful end to the season. Frankly, they're in relegation form from about game 9 or something when we did the maths. They need action, and they need it quickly, because Nigel Pearson has taken, rightly or wrongly, look, whether what he says is completely correct or not, it's still a gamble calling everybody out, because if you then don't get a reaction, everyone says, oh, well, you couldn't do it. You know, you called everyone out. You know, go and make a better team. And unless you can do that, that play doesn't work. Nigel Pearson's very experienced, and let's be fair, that the bar is not high given that Bristol City sunk off. And I have to say, when I speak to Bristol City fans now, there's a real sense of fed upness about them, and they would like to see the trajectory turn upwards. So hopefully, a couple of signings like this one will help. Obviously, Thomas Callas, who's had a good Euros, hasn't he? Did well for the Czechs and certainly boosted his value across the back there. Jay De Silva's there, maybe in full-back positions. Who else played there at the back? Viner. Moore, never 100% convinced me. They had Mawson on loan, so it's probably a direct Mawson replacement, but of course he then got injured, and we should say Bristol City had a ton of players injured last season, didn't they? So yeah, in comes Atkinson. That looks like a good one. He just needs to acclimatise, and I suspect, not that we know what they paid for him, but that value will at minimum hold or surely increase. Atkinson in. And here's another one into Bristol City. This one from Saturday. Andy King, the club he supported since he was a boy. There you go, 12-month deal. Again, the sign of fed upness from Bristol City fans was I tweeted this one out, and we had a very salty exchange going on when someone said Pearson's going and signing Leicester players. That's not a criticism, by the way. It wasn't me who said it. But, you know, if you're struggling and you want to build, you go to what you know, and you bring in trusted lieutenants. And we said that about Peltier going with Warnock, and you know you need those people around you. So don't be too prickly about it, Bristol City fans. When does a contact or someone you know become jobs for the boys? It can be a positive thing, bringing in people you know, and King is so experienced, and I'm pretty sure he would have been there at Leicester under Pearson when they got the 100 points. Will he play 30 plus games? He might make a lot of appearances and come off the bench, but if he's got value around the squad, and Pearson's talking about raising the standards and a new regime there at Bristol City, then he could be a useful guy to have around. He came on loan at Derby, didn't he, and got injured pretty much straight away. I might have even been at the game where he got injured, poor King. It might have been against Ipswich. So, yeah, experienced player, and I assume he's got Premier League winners' medal. Has he? I don't know how many games he played there for Leicester in the Premier League. But look, they've got Masengo and Naj and central midfield areas who probably they're going to go with. But seems like a sensible one here. And there's no shame in bringing in players that you already know. There really is not. Get your thoughts in on those two in at Bristol City. A couple more to go. Now, there he is. Martin Waghorn into Coventry on a free. Now, I always say, please leave your bias at the door. I have a huge soft spot for Martin Waghorn because supporting Ipswich has not been fun for a long time and was very boring. I know Mick McCarthy propped things up for a long while, but it was all a bit of a drag, wasn't it? Let's be honest, all Ipswich fans will agree. But one bright spot for that one season, 17-18, was Waghorn, who was great. He was really, really good. And McCarthy kind of set the whole team up and said, look, be tight, and Waghorn will take all of the set plays and score all the goals. And he got like 16 goals and 13 assists or something ludicrous like that, and played with real personality, good fun player. Waghorn, left-footed striker, 31 years old. He has played for so many Championship level clubs now. He knows the division. Is he going to score you 22 goals in a top six team? Probably not. Is he going to be really, really useful? Good set play guy, good left footer, good experience. I promise he will score goals at Championship level. You know, between 10 and 20 if he's out on the pitch a lot. But I would bring Martin Waghorn in if I was Coventry, especially given that you've got some good attacking players there, as sort of Callum O'Hare, Shipley, Godden, Walker, etc. Throw him into that mix, and I think it's a nice no-brainer. It's a bit worrying for Derby, isn't it, when they don't seem to have many players left, and obviously we had the fine has come through now, and they're not going to be having the reverse fixture list of Wycombe now, but they don't appear to have many players, and obviously Marriott and Waghorn now going out, who I think were probably 8 to 10 million between them, both going out for free, is a little bit worrying. But I like Waghorn in for Coventry, and we'll see how he's meshed in with that attacking roster, won't we, of those players that I already mentioned. Coventry look viable to essentially do what Luton have done the past couple of seasons and stabilise and, be a good viable Championship team as they grow. This is Simon Moore in goalkeeper from Sheffield United. You can see he's been with Brentford and Cardiff took him, and Sheffield United. Look, he's obviously been used, Simon Moore, as the reserve guy at upwardly mobile clubs. Cardiff took him in the top league, and Sheffield United obviously backing up Dean Henderson. So, and Coventry fans, I'm asking you rather than telling you, is he there to, now say, well, I want to play. I'm 31. I've been doing this a long time. I've backed up some really good goalkeepers. I want to come and play. So we'll see how that pans out. Who did they have in goal? Morosi and Wilson stepped in. I know there was an injury problem. So Coventry fans, let me know. Is that does someone constantly go to be the second choice and sit on the bench, or is it the age now where they can go with him? I don't know. Let me know. Let me just quickly see. Does it say anything in the no quotes from Mark Robbins on there? So who knows? Let me know what you think. So a couple of players into Coventry. Last one, guys. Sorry, I'm going very long today, aren't I? A bit of extra bang for your buck. Josh Knight, who was at Wycombe. It's another player who did well at Wycombe after we've spoken about EP5. 34 appearances. That's for Posh back in the day. Oh, there you go. 37 appearances. So he was at Leicester, wasn't he? And he was a couple of good Leicester players. I'm speaking of Dewsbury Hall, who got loaned down to Luton. Knight, obviously, to Wycombe. And that's a good pickup for Peterborough, isn't it? It ticks several boxes, as in Championship experience last season, literally. Good grounding. Leicester's obviously a really super example of how they do things. And good age as well, 26. What are they calling him? A fullback or a centre-back? Does not say. I distinctly seem to remember him playing in all sorts of positions across the back for Wycombe last season. Did he sit in front of the midfield once or twice as well? Pass. I don't quite remember. But he goes in there at Peterborough with Marriott, which is a nice return. George Grant as well from Lincoln. They seem to have recruited quite well, Peterborough. Certainly have upped their level now from League One, which you have to do when you go into the Championship. And Josh Knight, that seems a smart one, doesn't it? Let me know what you think in the comments. Right. Sorry, guys. 38 minutes of me banging on about 13 transfers. What are you going to do, hey? All good fun. That is Transfer Update, episode 5. I've had my say. Now you have yours in the chat. As ever, we're looking for balanced conversation. And we're looking for your opinions on the buying club, the selling club, the player, how you think these are going to go. Don't get too het up about transfer fees. It's not really anything that we can really talk about, especially on undisclosed ones. And let me just offer you a little bit of advice. Not all transfers are brilliant. Not all transfers are rubbish. Some just are. They just are. And they'll be what they're going to be. So we tend to get either this is going to be the best signing in the world ever, or this is going to be the worst signing in the world ever. Most of them fall into the grey area in the middle. So let me know what you think, and any particular ones Catch your eye there. Mowat to West Brom. Marcondes to Bournemouth. The Pirro to Swansea. Saville and Afobe to Millwall. Ikpeazu and Peltier to Boro. Vrancic to Stoke. Atkinson and King to Bristol City. Waghorn and Moore to Coventry. Knight to, to Leicester. Knight from Leicester to Peterborough. There we go. Again, it's now 9:10. I started recording at 8:30 a.m. If your transfer has not been announced, and it does take me often an hour or so to get this edited and up, it will not be in the video. Don't worry, it will come in the next one. If the player is not in this video, they may have been in a previous video, and if, God forbid, I've missed the player out, then you can politely point that out in the comments and we'll try and include him in the next video. And we can all try and be lovely and kind and nice to each other on social media. Anyway, I need to go and occupy my mind before the England game tonight. You can join me for that, by the way. Watch along 7:45. But I suspect numbers may be down tonight. I think people going to the pub and people just nervously. But I will be here if anyone wants to share their anxiety with me and see whether England can get to a major final for the first time in my lifetime. Can they do it? Anyway. That was Transfer Update episode number 5. Thank you for watching. Over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.